seems to be a question we can't wait to find out the answer to each and every baseball game. That brings us to our Coors Timeless moment. We're celebrating Nolan Arenado's debut anniversary. It all started with a very young-looking Nolan 5 years ago on this day. It was at Chase Field in Arizona. Sure, he was 0 for 3 with just a walk, but it was the beginning of something very special in a Rockies uniform. It was special for his entire family because right after that, the team went on to Dodger Stadium. He went back to Southern California and in front of friends and family, hit his very first home run. Let's take a look at Nolan's stats since he made his debut. In the last 5 years, here's where Nolan ranks in Major League Baseball. He's second with 518 RBIs. He's second in extra base hits, second in total bases, but with 79 game-winning RBI, that ranks first. And don't forget about the accolades. 5 Gold Gloves, 3 All-Star appearances, and 3 Silver Slugger awards. Pretty special indeed. And for Nolan, tonight here at the ballpark is Puerto Rican Heritage Night. He is 25% Puerto Rican. His maternal grandmother is from there, so he is ready for a special evening indeed. We are too. It's a beautiful day in Miami. The roof is open, and we're ready for some baseball. The Rockies and the Marlins are next.
On a beautiful evening in South Florida, the Rockies, that's not a live shot. You want to know why? Because the roof is open, folks, not closed as it was yesterday when it was raining out. So it's a perfect night for baseball. The Marlins are in the field, and the Rockies are trying to make it 4 in a row. That's right, for the 3rd time this year, the Rockies have won 3 consecutive games. They have yet to produce a 4-game winning streak. Tonight they hope to pull off the trick and move to 4 games north of 500 on the season. Charlie Blackmon is back in a familiar spot. He is leading things off. And the rest of the lineup, we alluded to it. Ian Desmond is batting second. Nolan will bat third. Story behind him. Then Ionetta Parra. Noel Cuevas in front of a ton of friends and family who've made it over from Puerto Rico. Pat Vallejo will bat behind Cuevas. And then German Marquez on the mound. And pitching tonight for the Miami Marlins, making his debut this season, is Wei-Yin Chen, the former Baltimore Oriole, who signed a couple of years ago as a free agent, a very lucrative deal, and he's had trouble staying healthy. He's had elbow issues. In fact, Spilly, a year ago, after making 5 starts, he was shut down for 4.5 months with a partial tear of the UCL. He decided not to have Tommy John surgery and just rehab it. So last year, those numbers, the 5 starts, and then he returned in the middle of September and made 4 pretty high quality appearances out of the bullpen. Native of Taiwan. And he gets a foul ball there from Blackmon, so it's 1-2.
Chen has always had a great feel for pitching, 4-pitch mix, fastball, changeup, curveball, slider. And when you look at the Marlins, and a lot has been made about this offseason, the trades of Giancarlo Stanton and Marcell Ozuna, well, part of it was to get rid of some of the salary that they had on the books, strikeout from Chen of Charlie Blackmon. And a lot of people point to this contract specifically, Wei-Yin Chen. It was a 5-year deal for $80 million that carries him through 2020.
And one of the issues with it, it's the largest deal they've ever given a pitcher, but it's backloaded. So most of the money is coming in the next couple 3 years. And the Marlins, as you know, are trying to pare salary and completely rebuild. That's way inside, and I think that clipped. It did clip Ian Desmond. So Ian, with 1 out, will go to first.
After striking out Ian Desmond hitting very well against lefties. Chen tries to go inside. Just catches his jersey on the left hip.
One other note on his salary. The $80 million over 5 years that he signed in the offseason prior to 2016. Think about what happened this offseason. Jake Arrieta signed a 3-year, $75 million deal. There were only 3, be specific. There were only 3 deals that were in the range of what Chen signed for a couple of seasons back. For starting pitchers, I'm talking about.
Right, yeah, Yu Darvish signed the biggest one this offseason with the Chicago Cubs.
Nolan fouls that pitch off. He had a couple balls really well last night that maybe in another ballpark he'd have been trotting around the bases, but they died in the glove of Lewis Brinson on the warning track twice in center field.
I'm curious to see how the ball will travel tonight with the roof open. The Marlins don't typically open up the roof, and it's unfortunate they don't, because it is beautiful. Well, the South Beach.
Yeah, and the view out the windows to downtown Miami is special. The ball typically will travel better with the roof open.
Well, Chen, not known as a ground ball pitcher, only 38% for his career. He is a fly ball pitcher.
Which is a little surprising because he had success at Camden Yards, which is a hitter's ballpark.
That doesn't mean every fly ball is hit for homers.
0-2. Nolan has seen Chen before. He is 2 for 4 against him. In fact, Chen made a start in 2016 here in Miami against the Rockies. It did not go well. The Rockies scored 6 runs on 7 hits in 2 1/3 innings. And we told you yesterday how difficult it's been for the Rockies to score in South Florida, whether it was up the road in Fort Lauderdale or since 2012 here at Marlins Park. So the fact that they got 6 in a little more than 2 innings, that had to be a real good night. Not a big guy, 6 foot, about 195 pounds. And this is fouled off as well.
Chen is 32 years old, and not to keep piling on, 53 and 38 lifetime career record with the sub-4 ERA. But by the time he's done with his contract, he'll be 35 years old. And just watching what happened with this free agency this offseason, it's not a good market to be over 30.
Down low and no throw. Desmond able to swipe second base. For Desi, this is a big part of his game, always has been, his ability to run. He's always been a 20-plus bag guy.
First movement, 3rd steal of the year for Desi. Rockies just improving upon last year. Pointed out last night, we'll point it out again. We'll update the 17 stolen bases to 18. But you want to be in the 75 to 80 percentile for stolen bases for it to even be worth it.
Ribby out there for Nolan with 1 out in the top of the 1st. And Chen beat him high and away. 2 outs. Trevor Story will come up. Here's a look at how the Marlins are aligned defensively. J.B. Shuck, Lewis Brinson, and Brian Anderson in the outfield. There's Shuck in left field. Prado, Rojas, Castro, and Dietrich. They had 1 change. Realmuto's behind the plate. In the original lineup, Derek Dietrich was in left field, and Justin Bour was at first base. And Shuck was in right field. Shuck flipped from right to left. Anderson went in right field, and Dietrich into the infield when Bour had some back tightness flare up about an hour before first pitch. So no Justin Bour tonight for Miami. 0-1 on Story, who's hitting .314 against lefties. He's in a really good place offensively, as Trevor Story. 1 for 4 last night. Getting close to 400 his last 10 ball games. And on the inside corner, 0-2.
We always talk about subtle adjustments, and part of it is in Major League Baseball. It's confidence, it's mechanics, it's timing. It's a reminder, friendly reminder, whether it's put my front hip, twist it in, or it's this is where my hands need to start. Well, Trevor's made a couple small minor adjustments that's allowed him to see the ball more consistently.
Well, the Rockies with a runner in scoring position strike out twice. That happened late in the ball game yesterday. The Rockies fortunately held on and won 1-0. We'll see German Marquez when we come back.
But we've also seen strikeouts go up a little bit. German's going to count on his fastball, curveball, slider, and change. He's been very effective with his off-speed pitches. Hitters are hitting below 200, but it's more important for him to get the fastball command. For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. Regain the fastball. Opponents are hitting 341 this year. Right-handers are hitting over 300 against German as well. And I think when you're looking at German, it goes back to commanding inside part of the plate to right-handed hitters. He's done very well against lefties, but it's two righties, so we'll pay attention to that tonight.
And that's kind of surprising with his stuff. Quickly 2 strikes as the 96-mile-an-hour fastball was fouled off by Derek Dietrich. Dietrich, Romuto, and Castro, the top 3 in the lineup. The Rockies do shift with Dietrich, 3 on the right side. And he gets them on 3 pitches, a curveball and a dandy. So 1 out. Look, here is the Marlins lineup for Donnie B. Donnie Baseball. After Castro comes Brian Anderson. Again, he was not in the original starting lineup. Justin Bohr was. It was an even up switch in the lineup in the 4-hole. Then Martin Prado came back yesterday off the disabled list. He had a hamstring situation. J.B. Shuck, Miguel Rojas, Lewis Brinson, and Wei-Yin Chen. Here is JT Romuto. Fastball's off the plate. Just 8 games in because he also started the year on the disabled list. The Marlins phone rang off the hook in the winter. I mean, first it was Stanton.
I called him.
You called him, and they didn't take your phone call, which is commonplace for you, so your feelings weren't that hurt.
No.
But their phone rang off the hook because, you know, Stanton was moved, and then ultimately Yelich was moved, and one of the great outfielders in the game, Marcell Ozuna, was moved. So the team started looking around. They said, wait a second, there's a heck of a catcher down there. I wonder if they'll move him also. And they got a number of phone calls naturally on JT Realmuto. But ultimately, they decided to keep Realmuto.
It's a good thing too. Realmuto, and there's times where he can understand, but Realmuto is one of the better catchers in baseball. You'd hate to give up a player like this.
Well, he can affect the game truly in two ways, offensively, and he is a terrific backstop. And there's a walk, a one-out walk to Realmuto. And here is what they're missing. This was one of the better offenses in the National League last year. 5th in runs scored, and they play 81 games in a pitcher's park. But Stanton, as you know, 59 home runs. He's now in the Bronx. Dee Gordon is playing center field in Seattle. Christian Yelich is in the middle of the order for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Marcell Ozuna, who hit .312 last year, is applying his craft for the Cardinals. Those are four. Listen, we were kidding yesterday. You know, Tyler Anderson comes out and he knows he doesn't have to face those guys. That's not fun for anybody.
That was the best outfield in baseball. I mean, if you start piecing it together and comparing him against other people, with that talent, he had an MVP, and a guy that hit almost 40 homers, and he had a guy that's a center fielder that is still coming into his own. That was the best trio of outfielders in baseball. And they traded them all away.
And all real good, above average defensively. 1 ball, 1 strike. Castro at the plate. He got to the big leagues with Chicago at a tender age before they had turned the corner. Former teammate, albeit briefly, of DJ LeMahieu.
Well, so far I've noticed with Germán, he threw 1 fastball inside to JT Realmuto, a 93-mile-an-hour two-seamer, but all of the fastballs have been staying away. Looks like a fastball away.
Runner going, swung on and missed, throw to second. Safe. Good pick in the dirt by Valaika. He held the tag in case there was a bounce by Realmuto, but again, he's the unusual catcher that is a plus runner.
It's a good jump, a little bit of a high leg kick for Germán, and does his best to make a good transfer to Valaika, who's playing second base tonight for DJ LeMahieu.
And you see Realmuto casually kind of patting Valaika on the back. And that's outside. And the reason I point that out is I think in a different era, some runners would be offended that you were still holding the tag on 3 or 4 seconds later, but everybody gets it now because of the review policy. Three and 2 again, this time on Castro. 1 out, bottom of the 1st inning. Yeah, we're going to follow your initial observation through these first few innings. Marquez a start removed from hitting Chris Bryant, but has time removed that image from his mind, and is he able, as you suggest, to pitch on the inside part of the plate with his fastball? He misses there, and now that's 2 walks. 2 on for Brian Anderson. Good news out of that is you do have a 4 set up all around. And the Rockies defense has been wonderful. There is Noel Cuevas. He's in right field getting the start in front of more than 30 friends and family who've made their way over from Puerto Rico. Blackman and Parra join him. And in the infield, Pat Valaika is at second base for DJ LeMahieu. You know the left side. Desmond is at first base, and Chris Iannetta is behind the plate. See if Germán can get a ground ball. And he does, but it's through the left side, a base hit. And Realmuto gets the stop sign, and a perfect throw to the plate by Parra. Did you see that throw, Spilly?
That's amazing. He loves it too. Any chance the guy with the good arm has to show it off, they'll show it off. Hanging curveball, first pitch. Ryan Anderson, who just mentioned, Justin Bohr scratched late. First pitch he sees, fires away, and a strike from Gerardo Parra in left field. He loves to show off his cannon.
You got a couple of guys in Cargo and Parra who can flat out throw. Well, now a pickle for Herman, and Steve Foster is out to counsel. Bases loaded. And a pro's pro at the plate in Martin Prado, who's still trying to get his feet underneath him, swinging the bat. He had a couple of rehab games down in, or up the road, I should say, in Jupiter. You go any further down the road here in Miami, you're wet. So it was up the road in Jupiter.
Well, it looked to me like Steve Foster encouraging him to use fastball and use it inside. You cannot live on one half of the plate.
Especially with this guy. He's made a living of driving the ball the other way. And there's a fastball that's on the inner third of the plate for strike one. Prado just 37 games last year. His last full season was 2016. He hit .305 for the Marlins. 8 home runs, 75 driven in. He's really a prototypical two-hole hitter. He's batting 5th in this lineup. Came up with Atlanta. Was blocked by Ionetta. It's 2-1. He's had 6 different seasons, or 5 different seasons, I should say, where he hit over 300. He's a career .291 hitter. He's just shy of 1,500 hits in his career. 2 balls and a strike on Prado. Bases full, 1 out. Billy make a play. Clanked off your glove.
Yep. Always sounded like a frying pan. Very similar hitter to DJ LeMahieu. Will not change his approach. Not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Not afraid to shoot the ball opposite field, and will occasionally pull an off-speed pitch.
And now it is full again. This is the 3rd 3-2 count of this first inning. 22 pitches in for Marquez. And this is a hitter's dream. He knows the pitcher's got to come in. Bases full. Marquez dialed up 97.
I like that pitch because Martin, if he's watching just like we are, and I know he is, it's been fastball away, and that one, even though the first pitch fastball was in, it was designed to go away, and that one was up and in. So now you're starting to set him up.
And he goes 1 digit higher at 98, and it's fouled off. Bouncer, could be 2. There's 1 on to first. Safe. Prado beat the return throw. Wasn't hit quite hard enough. It was hit in the perfect spot. But the Marlins will get a run, as Prado busted it up the line as he should, and just did beat the return throw from Story.
Is it in between hop for Pat Valleca at second? He couldn't rush in any faster. He had to wait for it to hop. Just that extra amount of time gave Martin Prado enough, maybe, to beat the throw. Yeah, he beat it.
So Prado with his first RBI of the year. And it's first and third for J.B. Shuck and 2 outs. It's just the 3rd run the Rockies have allowed in their last, including this one. Obviously, we're in the 1st inning, but 4 ball games. 1-0 shutout last night.
The Marlins came into tonight's game with a -57 run differential. That's the worst in Major League Baseball. An average about 3.24 runs per game.
And their runs per game last in the National League after sitting 5th last year.
That's why you don't like it when you see a 1st inning run scored on a walk.
2-1. A lot of pitches this 1st inning. So last year the Rockies led all of baseball, led all of the National League teams at 5.09 runs per game. The Cubs were right behind them. Washington, Arizona, and then Miami. And this year, this is line to center. Charlie coming on will make the catch. A run comes in for the Marlins. They had a couple of walks and a base hit in the inning. 1-0 as we go to the 2nd.
Will be starting today here at Marlins Park. He's starting in front of plenty of friends and family from Puerto Rico on Puerto Rico Day here at the ballpark. And if you look back, of course, the devastating hurricane that hit the territory of Puerto Rico affected Cuevas's family. He saw firsthand all the devastation, was there during the time, and helped to clean up and pick up the pieces of his own family's life and those that lived around him. For him, it was important because he knows how much baseball and his platform mean to that country.
I've seen firsthand how the sport, especially baseball, in the last couple of years with the World Baseball Classic, Puerto Rico just won the Caribbean Series. And we just bring hope. We bring hope to the people in the island. And I just understand how important it is to have Puerto Rican players come up and do great things, because that unites people, gives them hope.
Well, you could tell at spring training, you know, fresh off of the Hurricanes, when Cuevas was talking about it, just so much passion when he talked about the people that live in Puerto Rico, when he talked about his family, when he talked about helping and the passion. He wanted so bad to make this big league roster and be able to help out the Rockies, but he wanted more so to have that platform to share the message that they still need help, and he's been able to do that. And of course, getting to make your major league debut, getting your first big league hit, those are so important to him. But to be here in Miami, so close to where he grew up, and to be able to have the people like his mom, his dad, his brothers to share it with, you can tell that's meant the most to him, guys.
Yeah, and I know how appreciative he is that so many friends and family were able to make it. And he's also appreciative. He had family with his immediate, he had dinner with his immediate family last night. This is line, and Prado steals a double from Chris Iannetta. That's a fine play by Martin Prado. Get another picture of that and then finish the story on Noel Cuevas.
Iannetta battling back from 2 strikes, pulls his hands in nicely. Prado playing very deep, knowing that Chris Iannetta's not going to bunt.
So Gerardo Parra comes up last night, coming off the 4-game suspension, single, double, fly ball to center, and a walk. And he's hitting .320 against lefties. But just to finish the thought on Cuevas, he was also very appreciative of the fact that, you know, his friends and family, he's thrilled to see him, and he was going on about how appreciative he is that they have come over to see his first big league series down in Miami, but also that they get that, you know, it's all business for him.
It's enough playing in the major leagues. You don't want to try to play for your entire family in territory or island. You represent them well, but you still have to try not to think about all the extra pressure.
He is the oldest of 3 boys, 2 younger brothers, 21 and 19, and they go to the University of Puerto Rico. That's up on Noel. Ball 1. And there's the Puerto Rican flag that he's wearing as a sleeve on his left arm. An unincorporated territory of the United States. In the air, pretty well hit to center field. He got under it a smidgen, and Brinson waiting will have it, and it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Wei-Yin Chen. 1-0 Miami. Stores and by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Roof open down in South Florida and a full moon overhead. Beautiful night here in Miami. Middle game of a 3-game set. The Rockies prevailed 1-0 yesterday. And Miguel Rojas swings at the first offering, and it is fouled back, just once again eluding the bare hands of my partner Ryan Spilborgs, who was leaning halfway out of the booth.
I was going to get it. These things are like giant oven mitts. Bong. Would have got it.
The better chance it would have gone bong off the hand.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I mean, because that's outfielders who catch it in the web, not in the hand. The hands are hard.
Did you play here? I'm trying to remember.
Not in this stadium.
Yeah, I don't think you did.
I played
right?
in Joe Robbie, whatever the name
Land
of those.
Shark.
Land Shark.
1 ball, 1 strike on Rojas. Curveball's left up, slashed at, but right in the webbing of the outfielder's glove of Noel Cuevas. 1 out.
Nice hands.
That'll bring up Lewis Brinson. Herman in great need of a quick and efficient inning after a tough first inning. Fans, join in on the conversation. Send us your thoughts, comments, questions, photos of Spilly with and without a beard. Use Twitter and include the hashtag Toyota Talk. It's coming in nicely. It's grayer than you thought it was going to be, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be a great Santa Claus come September. Oh no.
And what do the kiddos? What do the kiddos think? Does Tatum like it?
He likes it okay.
Well, he can't shave with you then every morning.
No, my daughter thinks it's hilarious and she uses it as a back scratcher.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's not very soft yet. It's not like some of the other guys. Blackman has a very soft beard. Michael Dunn's beard is nice and soft.
In the air to deep left. Parra going back, can't get it. So have to field it off the wall, and Brinson is into second with a 1-out double.
Hanging off speed pitch, second time tonight that the Marlins have been able to get a hit on Herman's curveball. Now, Parra off the bat turned the wrong way. However, just based on how that ball ended up, the flight normally for a right-handed batter, when he pulls it into left field, it'll have a little bit of a hook towards the left field line. This one faded like a golf ball in the opposite direction, more towards left center.
Here's Wei-Yin Chen, who got his first big league hit last April. And he hits it on the ground to Valleca. 2 outs. Brinson to third, and that'll bring up Derek Dietrich, who struck out on 3 pitches. You may have forgotten the game started great for Herman. 2 fastballs and a swing and a miss on a curveball, and he was on to the second hitter. That's when things got squirrely. He walked Real Muto and Castro back-to-back. Anderson a single to left, and then Prado on a ground ball to second beat the return throw on a double play attempt. And that's how the Marlins got their run in the first, inside on Dietrich.
Well, the numbers I mentioned earlier are that the right-handers have had more success against Herman this season, and it comes down to the fact that he's pitching on one side of the plate.
And that almost went to the backstop. That was well done by Chris Iannetta. You don't expect a fastball to miss by this kind of margin. Watch Chris.
I just don't know if it has anything to do with mechanics, because everything for Herman is glove side fastball command. There's none on his arm side.
And he gets a weak ground ball in between hop. Valleca stays with it with those good hands of his. No problem. Brinson left at third, going to the third. It is 1-0 Miami. Question of the night. As always, go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. We'll show you the results during our post-game show. Who is your favorite Puerto Rican-born baseball player? So many great ones to choose from. We pared it down to 4. The late, great Roberto Clemente. And then Orlando Cepeda, Robbie Alomar, Pudge Rodriguez. This is line fair down the third base line. Prado couldn't get that. Pat Valleca is going to have a leadoff double here in the third. That a baby Patty Barrels.
It's the second hit of the year against lefties. He's 2 for 22 now. He's just starting to get into a nice groove. A couple more at bats, back-to-back nights where he gets an opportunity to get 2-3 at bats.
One thing you know about Pat, and I know it's not like he's been in the big leagues for 10 years, he's going to hit.
Oh, he's going to hit.
He's off to a slow start. He's going to hit. And if you've watched the ABs the last week or so, it's coming. And now Herman will try to bunt him along to third.
Why? He hits .571.
Yeah, he's the top hitter in the lineup. Good point. They put a pick play on the old wheel and have the second baseman drop in, and Patty said, come on, man, I'm a middle infielder. You think I'm buying that?
Well,
I've only practiced that about 4 million times in my life.
We heard last night DJ told the guys during the hitters meeting, watch out for the no-look back pick, and it was DJ that got back pick.
They run the wheel, and it's outside. It was so interesting for, I think, for both of us to watch that interview, because we know DJ, and DJ is a vicious competitor, and he's bumming because he had to leave the ball game. But because the Rockies won, he was able to tell it with kind of the twinkle in his eye and a little grin on his face, because this guy never messes up anything when it comes to playing baseball, and he was the one who got caught after giving that advice to everybody else. Again, out with a slight hamstring strain. We'll keep you updated over the next couple of days. That bunt is straight back and foul.
Well, knowing a clubhouse after a play like that happens, especially after a win, I can only imagine the guys going, hey, DJ, what do you got on that back pick? I'm assuming DJ said, I said do as I said, not as I do.
Right. That's when you have a healthy clubhouse, right?
Yep.
Able to good-naturedly rib each other. These are the little things. A lot of low-scoring games for the Rockies in the early going, especially here. You got to get this bunt down. We'll get one more opportunity at it. I'm looking out toward Miami with the roof open, and the full moon is now just centered.
I mean, it is beautiful.
It could not be a nicer evening. It's that perfect temperature out. Leadoff double for Valleca. 1 and 2 right now on Marquez. And he bunts it in the air, and Pat will get back. So Herman unable to get the job done, and that'll bring up Charlie Blackmon. It is time for the Lowe's whole team together. The Rockies against left-handed pitching this year have been good. 266, 4th best in the National League. Nolan, as he did a year ago, crushing lefties. Charlie left on left. You kidding me? 355. DJ Gerardo left on left, 320. Trevor hit over 300 last year against lefties. The weird thing, and you know it'll change, but the Rockies against righties are the worst team in baseball right now at 211. Charlie pulls it on the ground, and now it'll take a 2-out hit. And that's a great example of, and you know, Herman's not happy with himself, but if you're able to move the runner to third, they're going to keep their infield back. It's early in the ball game, and that ground ball scores a run and ties this thing up.
It's the little things. These are low-scoring games here in Miami. Ball does not travel well to center. We saw that already. That's a frustrating part, is you have 3 opportunities to try to get that down, and it's not easy. Bunting's not easy.
Desmond takes ball 1. Desmond batting in the 2-hole tonight for the first time this year. First pitch he saw from Chen in the first inning grazed his uniform. That's in 2-0.
Well, the numbers for Ian Desmond, you see a 176 batting average, 4 homers, 13 RBIs. Most of his damage has come against lefties, 3 homers, 303 batting average against left-handers. I just think it comes down to timing for Ian.
2-1. Desmond's seen Chen more than anybody else because of the rivalry between the Nationals and the Orioles. They played every year, so he's 2 for 11. As you see his splits there, 2 for 11 against Chen. 2 balls and a strike. Valleca third, 2 outs. Rockies trailing 1-0, top of 3. He's at the top of the zone, fouled straight back, 2-2.
Well, through the first 3 innings, you can tell that Chen has a great feel for pitching. He's been adding, subtracting with fastball, changing eye levels, using off speed.
Every hitter's been there. Desmond's in just battle mode right now, trying to find his swing, as you said, trying to find his timing.
That's all it comes down to for me watching Ian. He's just consistently late. And what happens when you're consistently late is that your front shoulder pulls out, your hip pulls out to try to get the barrel through the zone. Your head pulls out, so you miss pitches. You can't see it quite as well. When you have your good timing, you can slow the game down. You have an opportunity to see the baseball. Your body goes in its natural rhythm.
2-2. Is it a product of not getting ready on time? What causes one to be late typically?
It could be something as simple as mentally you're trying to see the ball as long as possible, letting the ball travel. I just think it's boiling down to he's starting late.
And another foul ball. Native Floridian Ian Desmond. He's from up in the Sarasota area. Went to Sarasota High School, in fact. Everything on the edge on the Subaru strike zone. That's high, 3-2. Boy, you want to win the at bat right here if you're Ian Desmond. Again, Valleca at third. Last night, the Rockies in the 8th and 9th inning had a chance to create greater separation from the Marlins. They left the bases loaded in both of those innings. On the evening, they finished 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Part of the issue is also they hadn't been getting it in play at all. There have been some empty at bats. And Desmond slowly hit. This is going to be a tough play at third and out at first base. Prado just did get Desmond. And that'll end the inning. Rockies will not ask for a review. Prado just did get him. Jack in the Box. Try the new Cholula Buttery Jack, only at Jack in the Box. It is Puerto Rican Heritage Night at Marlins Park, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. With Ryan Spilborghs and Jenny Kavner, I'm Drew Goodman. Off-speed pitch is high to JT Realmuto. 2, 3, and 4 for the Marlins here in the 3rd. Realmuto walked and scored in the 1st. He also had a stolen base. Swings through a fastball. It's 1-1. Realmuto grew up in Oklahoma, was a 3-sport standout in Midwest City, Oklahoma, suburb of Oklahoma City. Billy was saying last night, and it bears repeating, there's a changeup for a strike.
Those numbers.
In 42 high school games his senior year, take this in, folks, he hit 28 home runs.
It's nice.
A homer a game. What I want to know is when it got to like game 30 as he strikes out on the season, who's pitching to him?
Friends and family,
I guess. Must have been a lot of friends and family on the opposition. 1 out, and that'll bring up Starlin Castro. Second strikeout of the ball game for Herman. Castro walked on a 3-2 pitch his first time up. Curveball at the knees. That's a good spot. And a ground ball toward the middle of the diamond and on through past a diving Trevor Story, who was kind of swung over in the hole. Castro trying to move up, and he's going to. He never broke stride. And that's going to go as a ground ball double. This outfield is not unlike Coors Field. It's got a lot of property out there. He kind of hesitated for just a moment and then picked it up on the read in left center field.
Well, it's because Gerardo bobbles the ball as he's picking it up. And Castro, as any hitter's taught, keep your head up. Always look for where the baseball is and don't stop your momentum, even though you know you have a clean single.
And it will go as a single and an error, a rare error for the Rockies, as Parra had trouble picking it up. So Brian Anderson, who singled sharply to left his first time up, is at the plate with 1 out. And this ball's well hit to right. Cuevas going back will make the catch, and Castro will return to second. 2 gone, and that'll bring up Prado.
I want to point something out as an outfielder, and you see these beautiful ball fields. You notice the crisscross shape patterns of the grass. Well, as good as they look, they make it difficult on outfielders, especially when the ball starts slowing down. You can notice it what we call a snake. The ball will go back and forth as it's traveling through the different grains of the grass. Not to make an excuse for Gerardo, he's been on many major league fields, but it does become a challenge as an outfielder to field the ball clean.
0-1 on Martin Prado. I'm glad you explained that, and honestly, the ball always, snakes on these beautifully manicured outfield grasses, and I'm amazed that
it doesn't happen more often.
That it doesn't. When I say you all, former outfielder Ryan Spilborghs, current outfielders, that it doesn't happen more frequently.
It only happens on baseballs that are slow. It has to be slow enough to really get the grains of the grass.
This ball is hit well to right. Cuevas can't get there. It's going to bring home a run, and Prado is in a second with his first hit of the year, a double. He's driven in both runs for Miami. It's 2-0. Fastball
out over the plate and away. Prado gets the barrel on it. Not much that Cuevas can do to cover the right field line.
And the issues continue with right-handed hitters for Germán.
I don't know if it's so much, and Drew, you and I talked about this in between break. I'm not so sure it has anything to do with fastball command into righties. I think it just comes down to Germán is only able to command glove side.
J.B. Shuck at the plate. He lined out to center field to end the first inning. You know, in addition to the 4 hits, there have been 3 loud outs here in the first 3 innings. 3 line drives, and this bounces up there, and it's 2-0. And it's 3-0 on Shuck. He played his college baseball in Columbus at Ohio State.
Great city.
Columbus is a great city, and it's a growing city. It's a vibrant Midwestern town, and it's in there for a strike. 3-1.
Spent 2 months in Columbus.
When you were with the Indians organization.
It was great. Love the city. To your point, it's vibrant, very artistic, a lot of diversity.
It's a big-time college town, obviously, because of the presence of Ohio State. This should get the Rockies out of it. Desmond in foul ground makes the catch, but a 2-out double by Prado, and now the Rockies going to the 4th. They're down 2-0 at Marlins Park. Nolan will lead it off. Top of the broadcast, Nolan made his major league debut down in Arizona, and he's been pretty good since then. Here is some notable 2009 draft picks. Mike Trout went toward the end of the first round. He's turned out nicely. Nolan went in the second round. DJ went 20 picks after Nolan to the Cubs. Paul Goldschmidt, an absolute steal in the 8th round by Arizona. JD Martinez went in the 20th round originally. Curveball is strike 1. It got us thinking, so who are the guys who went at the top of the first round? Well, we're going to show you here in a moment. 0-1 on Nolan. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the first pick was a generational type of pitcher, Steven Strasburg, the co-ace, along with Max Scherzer of the Nats. That was a great pick. Dustin Ackley right now is in AAA with the Angels. That's down low. We'll go back to that list. Ackley, you know, it hasn't really happened for him. Donovan Tate is in AA. Tony Sanchez, we couldn't find where Tony is this year. He's not on a big league roster. Matt Hobgood is no longer in baseball. That's inside 3-1. And then Zach Wheeler's had an injury-prone career so far with the Mets. Mike Minor has been a solid big leaguer. Mike Leake's been a good big league starting pitcher, mostly with Cincinnati. But it just shows you there are no guarantees. Ball 4. Not only are there no guarantees, but just watch the NFL draft unfold the last 3 days. There'll be some notable guys that were either undrafted, guys like Chris Harris, or get picked toward the back of a draft, the most famous being Tom Brady, naturally in the 6th round. And it's the same thing in baseball. I think it's even more difficult because in football, you go and play in the top league once you're drafted, or you're attempting to make a club from day one. And certainly if you're a first 2 or 3 round pick, you're almost guaranteed to make that club at least initially. In baseball, it's a long process. Billy, you were a 7th round pick. This is in the air to right.
It's just an inexact science, and you cannot tell, you can't measure the immeasurables. You don't know who has a chip on their shoulder or who's willing to work harder. You can't prevent injury. I think a great perspective of the draft is that it was up until Ken Griffey Jr. that Major League Baseball actually had the first overall pick make it to the Hall of Fame. And I think in general sports, you think, oh, the first overall pick is going to be a great player. And think about that. In over 30, 40 years of the MLB draft, there's only been one player picked #1 overall that ended up being a great player, a Hall of Fame caliber player.
Yeah, think about that. Chris Iannetta robbed of what would have been a double on a leaping catch at 3rd by Martin Prado. He was leading off the 2nd. Chris trying to get hot again. His first week of the season, he was cooking. The hottest hitters in Major League Baseball. He's cooled off considerably since then. A couple home runs, 8 driven in for Iannetta, 1 out. Nolan at first. Now, for a guy that hasn't been on a big league mound as a starter in almost a calendar year, at least so far, Wei-Yin Chen looks like the guy that we would see from afar in Baltimore.
Well, he, in his last rehab start, he went 5 innings, had 7 strikeouts, 2 hits. Granted, it's the minor leagues, but it doesn't matter. You're seeing his stuff play.
2-1.
Those numbers are about what the Rockies have done so far tonight. His fastball, even though it's 91, 92 miles an hour, you can tell just based on some of the takes that the hitters have had against him, it gets on you in a hurry.
He wants slider here. And a good one.
Chen, just the 2nd Taiwanese-born player to make over 100 career starts. Chen-Ming Wong was the other one. Remember facing Wong when he was with the Washington Nationals. Good heavy sinker, right-handed pitcher.
3-2. A lot of times a moving count. You won't see Nolan moving here, though. Not with the lefty, not with this situation. And ball 4. So Iannetta, who always works deep counts, earns a trip to first. Now 2 on with 1 out for Parra. Folks, when the Rockies score 7 runs in a game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. Rockies have 1 hit, the double leading off the 3rd by Valleca. The other 3 base runners, 2 walks and a hit batter. The one thing about Chen, I don't know how stretched out he is, though, Spilly.
The rehab assignment, he went to 73 pitches. So 75 pitches is my assumption where he'll be pulled out.
And this is potentially a double play ball. There's one on the first, and that's all for the Rockies in the fourth. Colorado struggling here at Marlins Park to figure out Wei Yin Chen. They're down 2-0.
Trail the Marlins 2-0. Be at Coors Field to see the Rockies take on the Milwaukee Brewers May 10th through the 13th. Purchase your tickets online at Rockies.com.
So we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Miguel Rojas, Lewis Brinson, and the pitcher Chen to face Marquez. Hermanos allowed a base runner in each inning. Gave up a run in the first, a run in the third. Brinson, who will bat second this inning, in the second doubled and would reach third before Marquez could put the inning down. First pitch breaking ball misses to Rojas. He lined sharply to right. Cuevas in right field is playing very shallow right now. Here's a good curveball. There's Cuevas, and nothing is done through private thought. In other words, it's not like Noel said, hey, you know what, I think I'm just going to play 275 feet away. This is coming from the dugout based on spray charts, based on a ton of study as to how the Rockies want to align against this particular hitter with nobody on base. 1-2 on Rojas, and a good curveball, and up the middle. Story, quick release, needs help at first, and Desi couldn't make that pick, so I imagine that'll go as an infield hit.
Yeah, pay attention to the ball off the bat, because German Marquez, he reaches back and I think he tips it towards Trevor Story.
They may not. They may give him an error on that, because he
No, there's a tip. So German tips it back towards Trevor. I just can't imagine this being considered a routine play, especially with the deflection off the pitcher.
They've given him an error.
It's a bad error.
So here's Brinson. Look out.
Fastball up and in, and we've continued to point out that it's very difficult for German to command the inside part of the plate to righties. And it's just because he's lacking arm side command of the fastball.
That error on Trevor, just his second this year. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brinson, who doubled to left. Ball short hopped the left field wall over the head of Gerardo Parra.
So far for me, I'm not sure about you, Drew, but this has been a frustrating game. Very sloppy by the Rockies if you look at how the Marlins have scored. Scored in the first on a walk.
Well, it always begins with the guy on the mound, and Germán, I really thought he was going to come out and pitch well tonight, and he has been very inconsistent.
Sure.
And that, you know, sometimes affects other areas. There's been a couple of walks.
But it's still early. It's 2-0. But execution-wise for the Rockies, it has been a poor night.
Yeah, and it's kind of leaked over. We've talked throughout the year about the Rockies' offense being, I don't want to say even inconsistent. They've hit some home runs. They really have not gotten going at all as a unit, team offense, where you have that inning where there's, you know, 4 or 5 hits in an inning. 1-2. 2-2. Got to get Brinson here if you're Marquez. You have the pitcher on deck. Brinson's a young kid, ton of talent, but he's hitting 151 coming in. With the double, he's up to 161.
And he was hitting below 130.
Really high strikeout percentage also.
Yeah, he's hitting about 130 against righties.
Pulls his hands in and lifts it into the crowd foul.
And that's going to be the challenge for Brinson as he progresses in the major leagues. He's 6'4", a lot of long levers, trying to understand how to be consistent. Sometimes when you're that tall and you have to figure out how to simplify your swing, how to make sure you keep your hands inside.
He's always been a notable prospect, but he's already been dealt twice. Miami got him in the Yelich deal from Milwaukee, but he was originally drafted in the first round out of Coral Springs, which is just north of here, by the Texas Rangers. Milwaukee got him in the Jonathan Lucroy deal with Texas. Jonathan with the Rockies second half of last year, now the starting catcher for the Oakland A's. He caught the no-hitter by
Sean
Manaea the other day,
who basically had another hitter go in last night as well. He ended up 14 scoreless innings.
3-2. 66 pitches in, nobody out in the fourth. He didn't go, and now you have 2 on. 2 on, nobody out, with Chen coming up. 3rd walk. That's the 16th walk issued in 25 innings by Germán.
It's got to be concerning if you're Bud Black. You're looking at the walk rate this season. I mentioned earlier it's over 5. Last year it was under 3. And walks are within a pitcher's control. We always talk about true outcomes.
But one of the truisms, talking about true outcomes, one of the truisms for young starting pitchers, the road to being very good or hopefully great is not a linear one. You can't just say, hey man, as a rookie this guy was outstanding, so naturally his sophomore year he's going to be that much better. I mean, there's bumps in the road. Sometimes it looks more like a staircase. You don't want it to, but that is often the reality. That's not to say Germán's not going to have a good 2018 or anything close to that. It's very, very early in the season, but he's continuing to learn as the league has adjusted to him and to Kyle Freeland and even to Senzatella, who's coming out of the bullpen and was terrific last night. Bunt attempt, got a chance for the force and a good feed, throw to first, safe there. Herman made sure he got his feet set, didn't he, Spilly?
It was great because you can hear Nolan, as soon as the ball is bunted down and it goes straight towards Herman, Nolan yells loud enough for him to hear 3-3. And he provides Herman a nice target too, setting his feet, acting like a first baseman at third.
I'm sure he's getting the same instruction from Iannetta, who's the one who has the call. So now 1 out, 2 on, and Derek Dietrich at the plate. Strikeout, ground ball to second. Strike 1. Marlins lost last night, 1-0. They took 2 out of 3 at Chavez Ravine against the Dodgers. They've had 5 straight starts where their initial pitcher has allowed 2 runs or less. And so far tonight, they've had a very good start from Wei-Yin Chen. Rocky's trying to turn that around here in the middle innings. But first things first, Marquez has to get out of this jam. 1-1 on Dietrich. 2-1. A lot of pitches. And that is low. 3-1.
Dietrich acquired from Tampa Bay Rays back in 2012 for Yunel Escobar, former second rounder drafted by Tampa Bay. You mentioned being very good friends with Charlie Blackmon. Dietrich out of Georgia Tech.
That is down the third base line. Nolan, even if he ran over the tarp, he'd had to go back 3 rows to make that play. 3-2.
There's no tarp here, Drew.
Oh, that's right.
You got a nice.
They have a roof. They don't need a tarp.
Yeah, they have a lid. How about this? This park opened up in 2012.
Yes.
This is the 61st game that the roof has been open.
That's it? That's some useful information. 3-2, ripped to right, base hit. Cuevas on a hop. Coming home is Brinson, and he will score. 3-0.
Dietrich with the double last night against Wade Davis has his timing down, gets a fastball inside that he can handle. Gets in on him a little bit, but Lewis Brinson comes around and scores. Brinson, if you remember, got on base after being down 2 strikes and worked a walk. Second walk that has scored on the evening.
That'll bring up JT Realmuto. He walked, to your point, and scored in the first, also a strikeout. He went 0-1. The Rockies' long man tonight will not clearly be Antonio Senzatella. He's down after earning the victory last night, going close to 4 innings. But Harrison Musgrave came up a few days ago. You may have read that Tyler Anderson is feeling much better. He's felt great after the ball game, and he went into Buddy Black and he said, "Hey, I'll go down to the bullpen tomorrow if you want it." And Buddy said, I'm thrilled you're feeling better. Had shortness of breath, trouble catching his breath. Everything checked out with the medical people after. And yeah, because he only threw an inning and a third, he said, "Let me go down to the bullpen and help out down there." Again, Buddy, very appreciative. He said, "No, you're fine. We're covered down there." The only guy down in the Rockies bullpen tonight is Senzatella. If they had to have a long man, as I mentioned, it would be Harrison Musgrave. And Real Muto lines it up the middle, a base hit. Channel stop at third. The bases are loaded for Starlin Castro. And you wonder if Musgrave may be getting up shortly. Marquez with just one out in the fourth inning. He has dealt with issues in every inning. For the second time tonight, Steve Foster's on his way to the mound.
Well, Charlie throwing at his former buddy, trying to get the ball to the cutoff man. Dietrich smiling at Charlie. He had a little bit of a smile, even though this inning has not been much fun.
And there's the aforementioned Harrison Musgrave. Next pitch for Marquez will be his 80th, and he's got one out in the fourth inning. This is a stay in the game sequence right here. You have Castro coming up. The Rockies offense has done nothing with Chen. And they're already 3 runs in. Castro a walk and a single.
First pitch slider for a strike. We'll see. You can. Castro's a veteran professional hitter. He knows that the inside part of the plate, you don't have to worry about fastball.
Ground ball to short. Rockies have to turn this one. There's one on the first double play. In the inning, another run for the Marlins. They'll take a 3-0 lead to the 5th. Rockies have just one hit.
The 5th, his dad, they're holding a Puerto Rican sign, of course, Puerto Rican Heritage Night. It's their first time seeing Noel play live in over a year. Of course, the first time in the big leagues. And here's his brother Chris on how proud they are.
It's a really phenomenal thing. Like, he's been waiting for this all his life, and watching him standing on the stadium in a professional baseball stadium, I mean, that's great. I can't even, like, sometimes breathe because it's breathtaking.
Well, it's pretty special for the family before the game to be down on the field for batting practice. Of course, Noel's had plenty of special moments this week trying to soak up the big league life, but getting to share it with your family is probably the most special. We know a lot of people from back in his hometown in Puerto Rico also here to celebrate the moment. So a lot of energy coming from the stands tonight, and I think what would be the cherry on top is a big hit right now to start a Rockies rally, guys.
I'm with you. That would be appropriate. You can tell just we've been around them just a little bit the last couple days, but talking to Noel, very, very close with his family, his dad, and and family have owned and operated a number of gas stations and convenience stores on the island of Puerto Rico. I asked Noel, I said, your brothers play baseball? He said, no, they're really smart. So here's Cuevas, and he takes a breaking ball from Chen down low. He hit the ball well his first time up to deep center field. I'll tell you an interesting story he shared with me yesterday. Mentioned that he went to high school for 3 years north of here, about 5 hours, with Francisco Lindor. This ball is hit in the air to left field. It's going to stay in the ballpark. Just got underneath it. J.B. Shuck is there, 1 out. And Lindor, on his first major league hit, spun out and fell on what should have been a double going around first base.
Lindor did too?
Francisco Lindor did the same thing that Cuevas ended up doing a few days ago on what would have been a double. Wet ground. Cuevas first had the spikes catch in the wet clay, and then going across the bag, he slipped again, the wet bag, and had to shut it down at first when he hit the ground. And he was visibly upset, and he said, you know, I kind of got over it later, thrilled that it, you know, I got my first hit. He goes, but it should have been a double. And he said Lindor did the same exact thing on his first big league hit. Speaking of doubles, Pat Vallejo had a leadoff double in the third, and that's what's been troubling about this Rockies offense. Runners in scoring position, nobody out, unable to create a run. And this is going to be an easy play in right. Brian Anderson out there, 2 outs. Rockies are probably down a man tonight. They want to stay away from LeMahieu, so with the short bench, 2 outs, nobody on. Makes sense for Buddy to let Marquez hit. That's not to say Marquez isn't going out in the bottom of the 5th. I think he will, but the leash will be pretty short from this point forward on the hill for Herman. That's on the inside corner. One good thing, if the right, and Chen's throwing the ball great, obviously, if you can get Chen out of there, the bullpen is all right-handed. And the Rockies bench, with the exclusion of LeMahieu, is all left-handed. A 1-2-3 inning for Chen. He's allowed the Rockies 1 knock through 5 innings. 3-0 Marlins.
Puerto Rican Heritage Night in Miami as the Rockies trail 3-0 to the Marlins. Calling all college students. College night at the ballpark is Friday, May 11th. The college student ticket package includes a game ticket, and a Rockies themed hat. Visit rockies.com/college for tickets. Since we're on college, I'm going to get a little history lesson on the territory of Puerto Rico. Now, it was originally discovered, you might find this interesting, back in 1493 by Christopher Columbus.
Heard of him.
Pretty.
He found some other piece of land in 1492, didn't he?
Yep. So this was his second voyage. He landed on Puerto Rico. It was populated by the indigenous Taino people.
Brian Anderson takes strike 2.
In
a single and a line drive to right that was caught by Cuevas.
To finish the history lesson, the United States acquired Puerto Rico in 1898 after the Spanish-American War under the Treaty of Paris.
There have been a couple of times through the years that there's been conversation and thought that Puerto Rico would be
a state
admitted to the United States, be the 51st state. They are part of the North American Amateur Baseball Draft. 2-2. That's fouled off. For the June draft, the Rule 4 draft. It's not called that very frequently, but internally that's what it is. That's where kids from the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico can be drafted. Strike 3, Anderson gone. Fastball is right there. 1 out, and that'll bring up Prado, who's driven in 2, and an RBI ground out and a 2-out double in the 3rd. Just the 3rd strikeout tonight for Germán. Visiting with Larry Walker today, and Jenny did a great interview with Larry last night. Larry grew up in British Columbia in Maple Ridge, and when he was growing up, I mean, for all Canadian kids, hockey is #1, and baseball's grown there exponentially over the last 25 years. But when Larry was growing up in the mid-'80s, he was playing on the local fast pitch softball team with his dad and his 2 brothers. And at 16, as Prado is gone, he was the MVP of the league. And I just bring that up because, you know, kids from, you know, other countries sometimes find a different path to baseball. And I asked Larry, I said, you guys may recall that, you know, Larry, like so many Canadians who are athletic, love hockey and love to play, and he was a goalie. I said, you know, honestly, which were you better at? And he said, if you asked me back then, I probably thought that I was better at hockey. And he didn't even know how good at baseball he was, because there was really nothing to gauge it against. Turned out to be he was pretty good at baseball. He made the right decisions, Billy. I don't know what kind of goalie he would have been, but.
He'd stand on his head.
Now, perhaps.
If I remember correctly,
there were times when Larry would talk that I thought he had been standing on his head for a while, right?
He probably was.
Yeah.
But Cargo,
and I hope Larry's listening right now. 2-0.
Cargo played a lot of fast pitch softball growing up.
Cargo as well. Have you ever done it at any point?
No, not fast pitch softball.
Not fun. It's hard, really hard. Different arm slot. The ball literally rises, and you know, baseball, it's an illusion. You know, the spin rate, you can stay at the same level a little bit longer. Ball doesn't rise. Softball, the ball will rise.
I would love to face
Eddie Feiner in his day.
Yeah, the king in his court. I love watching softball. There's a great college softball game on today, and I was mesmerized by it.
2-2. And this is in the air to Parra. And that is the first 1-2-3 inning of the night for Germán. Get some runs, the Rockies, as we go to the sixth, trailing 3-0.
I think they're hiding in the Clevelander.
A big week for two Rockies making their major league debuts, Harrison Musgrave and Noel Cuevas, and they talk about their first taste of the majors. Our Jenny Cavnar relives her first game calling play-by-play for the Rockies, and Taylor McGregor will sit down with Rockies owner Dick Manfred to talk about the legacy of her father, Kelly McGregor. All of that and much, much more. It'll be an exciting edition of the club. Join us tomorrow for that. Charlie Blackmon leading off here in the sixth inning against Wei Yin Chen, who has a one-hitter going. This is round 3 through the order for the Rockies. Blackmon a strikeout and a ground ball to second. Inside, ball 1.
Well, Marlins have to feel very good with what they've seen so far tonight. Chen now at 62 pitches. We're speculating that he's probably going to be done at 75 pitches. This could be his last inning.
2 balls and a strike. Charlie was 0 for 5 last night, so 0 for 7 so far in the series. This ball's clubbed high and deep, right center field. Way back, take a good look. You won't see it for long. Rockies on the board. Home run number 9 for Chuck Nasty. And it's 3-1. Eight of the 9 jacks for number 19 out on the road. And that was a no-doubter in a ballpark that doesn't relinquish many no-doubters.
Right off the bat, you could tell this ball was crushed. 4th home run of the season against a lefty. Charlie Blackmon, what makes him so unique is that he can allow the ball to travel nice and tight in his load, sees the baseball. And as we've talked about before, Charlie, as soon as he figured out that he was a legitimate pull hitter, his career has taken off.
On the ground to third, tough hop, and it eats up Martin Prado. And Desmond's digging for second. The throw is not going to get him. Here come the Rockies now. Nobody out. Desmond at second in the 6th. And they're going to call that a double.
In between hop, eats up Martin Prado. Desmond right out the box thinking 2. And it's so important if you think about just taking that extra 90 feet, being aggressive. There's nobody out. You don't want to get thrown out at second base, but getting to second with Nolan Arenado at the plate, they don't want to challenge him too much. They have a free base open. Obviously, you don't want to have first and second, nobody out, but it changes the entire dynamic of the inning just taking that extra 90 feet.
Juan Nieves covering his mouth so nobody can
I'm not a good lip reader. Are you?
report this.
I've never understood that. After
either.
playing professional baseball for 13 years and baseball for 25, I have never read a coach's lips. I've never been able to tell what anybody's been able to say.
Nick Whitgren, who was in the ball game yesterday, I'm with you. So here's Nolan representing the tying run. Strikeout and a walk tonight for Nolan. And this ball's popped up. Miguel Rojas, 1 out. So Charlie with his 9th home run. Did you know since the start of 2016, there's only 2 National League hitters who have more home runs than Charlie Blackmon? One just popped out, and the other guy left Miami in the winter. Giancarlo Stanton, number 1. Nolan Arenado, number 2. Charlie Blackmon, number 3. Story, a strikeout and a fly ball to right field.
There's a no-look back pick DJ told all his teammates about. Ian Desmond well aware of it.
This ball's lined to left field, and it'll drop in front of Chuck. Desmond had to see it down, so he moves 90 feet. It's first and third, 1 out for Iannetta.
Tell you what, having watched guys hitting baseballs here at Marlins Park, it is a difficult read. It's hard to tell how far the ball is traveling. This is a single to left, but off the bat, it sounded like it was maybe extra bases.
Good job of base running by Desmond, and Chen in the 3rd time through. The Rockies have squared 3 balls up, and Nolan got the ball on the barrel. He just popped it straight up. So Donnie Baseball comes out and takes the rock away, and it's on the bullpen now. 2-run game when we come back. Fist bumps as he goes to the dugout. He was outstanding tonight, but the Rockies have caught up with him in the 6th inning. So Wei-Yin Chen will yield to Nick Whitgren, who's making his 5th appearance. His 4th appearance was last night. He pitched 1 inning. He gave up a hit, walked 2. One of those walks was intentional.
Former 9th rounder from 2012. We saw his best secondary pitch last night was a changeup. Fastball about 90 to 92 miles an hour. A little deception.
He'll face Chris Iannetta. He did not face Chris last night. First and third. And terrific speed at first and Story. This puts pressure on a defense, Billy, because you have really good speed on both corners right now. Wittgren pretty quick to the plate, hits the outside corner. Wasn't a slide step, but it wasn't a big lift. Tony Diaz, I'm sure, got some times on him last night. He's timing him again right now on his move to the plate. He was 1-2-1 to the plate there. League average is 1-3. 1-2-1's pretty quick.
Oh, he's quick. The other aspect too, if you're thinking, especially as a base runner, you want to know what the secondary pitches that Wittgren has. Does he have a curveball? Is it a slider? If it's typically a slider, you don't see a lot of spike sliders. And because he has a changeup as a secondary pitch, you can't really anticipate it in the dirt.
1-2. Well, this is often an off-speed count and a pretty good running count. Story's seen 3 pitches, but again, you have a guy who can throw behind the plate and a guy who's, you know, 1-1-5 to 1-2 to the plate, which right there could shut down any chance.
Last thing you want is to strike him out, throw him out.
No movement, and there's a strikeout. 2 outs, and Gerardo Parra will come up. This is where I think this game can swing to the Rockies' advantage, in that the Rockies are a team with a lot of left-handed bats. They have a left-handed bench right now, and the entire bullpen for Miami is right-handed. Parra, ground ball to third, and he grounded into a 4-6-3 double play.
Two out runners in scoring position for the Rockies. They're 19th in baseball, .221 batting average. Love to see a 2-out RBI right here just to get him back. Because offensively, we've seen it. The Rockies are scoring runs, but on homers, that's it. That's not the offensive blueprint that is successful. Well, you'll lose to everybody if that's what you're counting on.
They've been fortunate so far. They've had 9 games this year that they've not hit a home run, and they're 7-2, including last night. But I agree with you. It's not a sustainable way of going about offensive baseball. 2-0, catches the corner barely, evidently, on the Subaru strike zone. 2-1. Rockies will see a lefty starter again tomorrow, Yarlin Garcia. They'll see one Monday when they open up in Chicago. They'll see John Lester. 2-2. Parra double checking with home plate umpire Brian O'Nora as to whether that would have been a strike. O'Nora nodded his head yes.
4 strikeouts on the evening for the Rockies. However, they're hitting 143 with 2 strikes. That's the worst in Major League Baseball. Not only is it the worst, league average is 182. About 30 points lower than league average at 2 strikes.
Story takes off, and it's fouled off. Realmuto just went out with the 2-2 count to let his infielders know if the runner went, what he was doing. It was obviously a change, and with the 2-2 count, he may have let Story go to prevent the potential double steal. Now they're going to change it again. Or perhaps not, but they're going to go about the thought of letting everyone know they may change it. Story not going, and this ball's in the air to right field, and it's caught out there by Anderson. The Rockies get on the board. Charlie Blackmon blisters one to right center field, and it's 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Home run number 9 for Blackmon.
Season has them closer as they still trail 3-1 in Miami. The first 10,000 fans through the gates on Mother's Day, Sunday, May 13th, will receive a Colorado Rockies Mother's Day bracelet.
3-1, and that pitch is high. Looked like a changeup. Ball one on Miguel Rojas, batting 7th in the lineup for the Marlins. Marquez coming off his first 1-2-3 inning in the 5th. His pitch count at 98. Lewis Brinson on deck. Rockies got one back. Former Marlin Mike Dunn up. But again, Spilly, the opportunity was there to at least add one more on. The double came with nobody out by Desmond. The Rockies had a leadoff double a couple innings back by Pat Valaika. Get a runner at second base leading off the inning. The odds are you're going to score them.
That's why tonight's game has been frustrating, just knowing how the Marlins have put their runs on the board.
3-1, that's a strike. 3-2. May have been a bit of a gift. That was off the Subaru strike zone. Line out by Rojas, and he reached on a error by Trevor Story. Tough error. Both teams celebrating their silver anniversary season. The Rockies and Marlins came in 1993. This is in the air to Cuevas. Sinking line drive. Brinson a double and a walk and a run scored. The Rockies and Marlins last night played their 100th game against each other here in South Florida. The Rockies' victory gave them their 36th victory down here. That's it. 64-36 the Marlins lead. The Rockies have dominated in Denver. All time the Marlins lead 105-94. 1-1.
A lot of good players have played in the Marlins uniform over the last 25 years.
He went around. Well, I guess not. Fielding Colbreth said he didn't. And his opinion has
all
a
that
lot
matters.
more weight than mine. 2-1. This ball is hooking. Foul, fortunately. This kid's got a lot of pop.
Tell you what, there's not a worse feeling as a hitter to see a ball hook foul when you know it has home run trajectory. Now you have 2 strikes.
Two-two. 3-2. Good pitch. Dropped the curveball in there, and that is strikeout number 5. Clearly Marquez has pitched better here in the last couple of innings than he did early on. 2 outs. And we'll get a pinch hitter.
I'm curious what his adjustment was. Sometimes when you're looking at a player and it gets into the 5th inning and you get through 75 pitches, maybe you start slowing down your rhythm. Maybe you're not so amped up. Maybe your arm doesn't feel so good. And that's been a benefit to Germán, is getting past that number to where it looks like he's slowing it down just enough to allow him to finish the pitches off.
Yadiel Rivera is the pinch hitter. Desmond's not going to have a play along the first base line. It's 0-1. The Marlins now have a 4-man bench. You mentioned last night they were one of the rare National League teams to be utilizing a 5-man bench. But a guy we saw last night, Tellez, who pinch hit, Tomas Tellez, was designated for assignment earlier today to make room for Chen on the roster. So they have the extra pitcher now. Because Garcia, we've been told, is going to go to the bullpen. Garcia's not going to start tomorrow, even though he has a 1 ERA. It's going to be Caleb Smith, who has an ERA closer to 6. There's a breaking ball for a strike. One, two, see you later. So Marquez ends up retiring his last 7. Undoubtedly, he'll be done. And he ends up with a quality start. 3 runs for the Marlins, a run for the Rockies going to the 7th. Go. Last inning, Charlie Blackmon with a deep drive to right center field and got the jog around the bases. He hit that about 6-7 rows back. Marquez got handshakes a moment ago. He goes 113 pitches, and the line at the end of the night isn't bad. 3 runs over 6 innings, and he gutted it out because he had some command issues early. And you like that, a guy
I love it,
who battles and finds a way to keep his bullpen out of play early. Remember, Harrison Musgrave was warming up in the 3rd inning. Teheran Guerrero will come on, making his 14th appearance. 7th inning, Cuevas, Valleca, and then a pinch hitter.
and those numbers are correct. 24 strikeouts in 12 innings.
Big arm.
Teheran, 6'8" right-hander. He's got over a 17 strikeouts per 9 right now. He also has nearly a 7 walks per 9.
Seems to be one or the other.
Fastball averages about 97 to 100 miles an hour. And it truly is just a 2-pitch mix, fastball slider.
2-0 on Cuevas. Cuevas twice has just missed balls. Once to deep center, once to deep left. Family looking on. That's there. He's a native of Colombia. This is bounced to first, 1 out. We'll bring up Valleca.
Well, you'd like to get some base runners on with a pitcher the size of Guerrero, because you know he's going to be slow to the plate. 6'8". Takes him a while to just get the arm swing and lined up. He's a big, imposing body.
Here's David Dahl. He's going to pinch hit. Shattered bat, and Prado gloves it, and there's 2 outs. Guerrero grew up in the Padres organization. In fact, in 2016, he made his major league debut with San Diego. He got in 1 ball game. Threw a couple innings, gave up a run. And then he was part of the Andrew Kashner deal in 2016, along with Colin Ray, to Miami for Carter Capps, Jared Cosart, Luis Castillo, and Josh Naylor. That came right at the trade deadline in the summer of 2016. And now with 2 outs, the Rockies have pulled back David Dahl, and it'll be Ryan McMahon.
That's nasty, 100 miles an hour. And if you've ever faced a tall right-hander before, I'm not sure if you've ever faced a 6'8", but they have downhill action unlike anything you've seen before. Truly is a unique view.
And then when you do that,
yeah,
that's unfair.
I mean, it looks like he's throwing BBs. And when you're a right-hander, right on right, facing somebody 6'8", it looks like you're...
It's like half a baseball coming
yeah,
up there, right?
You're looking at a statue on the mound. 2
strikes. And at 101, and Guerrero wanted to hang around and try to get a 4th out.
He's a king in his court right there.
2 weak ground outs and a punch out, 3-1. Stretch time in Miami. there's an RBI double, his first hit of the year. He just came back yesterday, and that was followed up by a Derek Dietrich base hit to drive in a run the following inning. It was 3-0 till Chuck Nasty left the building in the 6th. Rockies threatened for more in the 6th, but they have not been able to bunch hits or get that key hit. So they trail 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Drew Goodman, Jenny Cavnar, Ryan Spilborghs from Marlins Park. And the former Marlin, Mike Dunn, will begin things in the 7th inning facing Derek Dietrich. Mike in his 2nd year in a Rockies uniform. And his fastball cuts off the glove of Chris Iannetta, ball 1.
For Dunn, only 6 2/3 of an inning, but the 5 walks stand out.
Fouled off, 1-1. Marlins came into the night 7-18. The Rockies 15-12, winners of 3 straight, trying to win 4 in a row for the first time this year. The Marlins have 4 of their victories on the road. They're just 3-10 here at home. 1-1. And this ball's well hit to right, and it's going to get on out. Into the bullpen, Derek Dietrich with his 3rd home run of the year, and the Marlins have a 3-run advantage again. Well, the 2 Georgia Tech buddies have gone deep.
Dietrich last night, quality at bat, gets a start today, already has a hit and a slider down and in right into Dietrich's wheelhouse. Charlie Blackmon, Derek Dietrich, Georgia Tech, solo shots each.
I'll bring up JT Realmuto. Spilly, the number has been 4. When the Rockies give up 4 runs or more in a game, they are 1-12. When they allow 3 or less, not surprisingly, they have a great record. How about unbeaten, 14-0? Been very little in between. This ball's well hit to left field. The leap and the catch near the wall by Parra. I don't think that was going out, but it was going to go off the wall. So Realmuto with a long out.
I'm going to argue that that's a home run in 29 other ballparks. Off the bat, had the sound that you want, had the trajectory. Reminds me now of San Diego before they started moving in the fences. Good play by Gerardo Parra getting back.
I was talking to some people within the Marlins organization, and they were lamenting on how difficult it is to hit home runs here, and the fact that really what Stanton did, especially last year when he was finally healthy for a full season, hitting 59, is just incomprehensible.
He can hit a home run in the Grand Canyon.
He could.
And even Marcell Ozuna, who had a lot of home runs, those guys have 70 on the 20 to 80 scale pop. Giancarlo has 80.
80. Yep. Here's the 1-1. It's down low. 2-1 on Starlin Castro. Walk, single, 6-4-3 double play. The Rockies all of a sudden have just 6 outs to work with. And they're stuck on the number 1 again. 1 was good enough last night. Not gonna be tonight.
If you think back to last night too, Drew, it was Antonio Senzatella that pushed the run across. So over the last, not great at math, but 16 innings here in Miami, the Rockies offense has scored 1 run.
Ground ball to short. Shift is on. Story keeps his feet, and a nice pick at first by Desmond. 2 outs.
MLB TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details.
One strike on Brian Anderson. He's 1 for 3 tonight.
There's times as a unit, as an offensive group, you'll look at a pitcher, you'll tip your cap. You said he was very good. Chen tonight was very good through 5 innings. However, there are times where you have situational hitting and you can score runs without even having to get a hit. And for that, the Rockies have not been good. So you can live with good pitching. You live when you get beat to get beat, but when you have opportunities to score runs based on situational hitting and fundamentals and you're not getting those done, that's when you have the conversation with the group.
1-2, and this is a tough play for Arenado, but not really. Tough play for most folks.
Are you kidding?
Not for Nolan. The arm strength it took to make that throw and to beat Brian Anderson, who's a good athlete, by like 3 steps. This is a joke.
It hangs on the ground. I just don't know how he does this all the time.
Played crazy good.
Every day during batting practice, Nolan will get to the edge of third base, right on the edge of the dirt and the grass, and he'll throw baseballs across the infield just to work on it. And the throw he made, falling backwards towards the third base line from the outfield grass, it's just incredible.
Drew Steckenrider's on the mound. Rockies have the top of the order. Here's Blackman. He takes a strike up in the zone from Steckenrider. Righties hitting 160 against Steckenrider. Lefties better. They're 267. Sliders down low. Charlie, ground ball to second. Castro's got it. 1 down. A couple changes in the outfield. Cameron Maben is in left field, And J.B. Shuck moves to right. And Brian Anderson, who's more of an infielder, comes out.
You said it repeatedly, an all-righty bullpen for the Marlins. 28th in baseball in bullpen ERA. However, the advantage is for the Marlins bullpen because the Rockies have not seen many of the arms. Guerrero was filthy.
Desmond takes a couple of strikes, both on the outer edge. One and two. Desmond a bouncing double past Martin Prado his last time up. That and followed up Blackman's leadoff home run in the sixth, but the Rockies couldn't cash in. Desert. 1-2. Just 4 hits tonight for the Rockies. This is popped up down the right field line, foul ground, and out of play. And the catch is made. 3 rows deep. Nice play.
He's wearing a Rockies hat.
That a baby. That was a great play.
That's great.
You know what? This kid's, he's tracking it the whole way. He got out of his chair, went up a couple steps, moved to his left. I got it.
Outs. Yeah, he gave you the outs. That's great.
That's awesome.
Nice play. That's why you bring your glove to the game.
You know what? He's going to be beaming till he goes back to school on Monday. Look out. Whoa. That got Desi. Second time he's been hit tonight. So with 1 out, he goes to first in front of Nolan. Built for Baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Nolan's pretty good third baseman defensively, and here's another reason why every year he brings home a Gold Glove. It's the arm strength for me on that play. There's not. I know you guys are the best in the world. That's still a long throw.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous,
it's
right?
A long throw.
Outside on Nolan. 0 for 2 and a walk.
And a lot of the arm strength, just like a catcher. It comes from your hips, it comes from your shoulders, squaring them up. And then you're basically throwing a dart across the field. They're going to come check out Steckenrider.
Yeah. Something's not right.
He keeps grabbing his inner thigh, right leg. He's laughing about it.
One 1-0 the count on Nolan when they resume. Had a guy come up to me the other day, and he wanted to know one thing. He said, how hard do you think Nolan throws across the diamond when he uncorks one? He goes, do you think it's 90 miles an hour? I said, I guarantee it's in the mid-90s. 1-1. Tomorrow I'll ask him hardest he's ever been gunned across the diamond. And this is right at the shortstop, and it's bobbled by Castro, which gives the Rockies a break because it would have been a double play. Bobbled it on the transition.
I'll show you the mechanics of Nolan on this throw on the Subaru Supermo. He squares his shoulders, squares his hips, and then he just uncoils. Basically throwing a dart. Trevor Story enjoying watching him from short. It's just beautiful. Even slow motion on the Super Mo is cool.
And it's not close.
It's not even close.
Story a single his last time up. Line drive to left.
Let's see if Rockies can take advantage of a mistake from the Marlins. Taylor made double play, not able to turn it. Gives Trevor Story an opportunity to drive one in the gap.
One and one. And it's hooked right at Prado. That'll end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. The Marlins have a 4-1 lead at home. Performance of the night, a matchup of the two starters. Wei-Yin Chin was very much on his game, the former Baltimore Orioles 16-game winner. He went 5 1/3 in his first appearance of the year, and he allowed just 4 hits. 3 of them came in the 6th inning when he was removed after 1 out. German Marquez, to his credit, got better. He was shaky through the first 3 or so, and he retired the last 7 hitters he faced, and he ends up going 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, 2 earned. So the numbers at the end of the night, not bad for German, but unfortunately for the Rockies, they're on the wrong end right now, 4-1. In the bottom of the 8th, Brooks Pounders will take over. He'll face Martin Prado, J.B. Schuck, and Miguel Rojas. And a line drive off the glove of Valleca. Base hit for Prado.
Little slider to Martin Prado out over the plate. Prado loves hitting the ball opposite field. Great attempt by Valleca. Just the way the field is played tonight, Drew, with some of the balls that were hit on both sides. The Rockies have lined out a couple times. Runs here look very difficult to score. And we thought with the roof open, the ball would travel a little bit better. It travels to right center, and that's about it.
Well, in Miami, in the Rockies, if you include this one, their last 17 games here, they've scored 46 runs. Less than 3 a game.
Well, I like how Pounders attacks the zone. He lives up to his name. There's a little natural cut to it. Hard throwing righty, about 95 miles an hour.
Shucks 0 for 3. Here's the 1-1 pitch, but first a check on Martin Prado at first. Turned around a bunt. That's inside. 2-1. Kyle Bearclaw, who the Rockies also saw last night. Looks like he'll handle the 9th. Out of play down the left field line. Two balls, 2 strikes. Four runs, 8 hits, no errors from Miami. The Rockies 1-4 and a rare evening. They have committed 2 errors. Bobble by Parr, allowing an extra base on a single. And there's strike 3.
Good pitch.
And then a tough error on Trevor Story, but he was given his 2nd error of the year. 1 out, and that will bring up Miguel Rojas.
Come celebrate moms, veterans in America at the ballpark with the new Holiday Suites special. Mother's Day, Memorial Day, July 2nd, and Labor Day. All suites are $100 per ticket and include food and beverage. Call 303-ROCKIES today.
Rojas reached on that misplay by, it was on the throw by Story on a ground ball up the middle that had kind of been redirected a little bit by Marquez. Another 2 at bats, he lined to right. Martin Prado healthy again, but he missed a good portion of spring training and the early season with a hamstring injury. Prado a good base runner, but he's never been known as a flyer, so I don't think he's going anywhere. Two
good pitches by Pounders in the Subaru strike zone. Maybe Rojas was distracted by the wave going on at Marlins Park. He missed a pitch.
You have to pay attention when there's a sporadic crowd for the wave. Be sure you know it's coming your direction. So 70s, Billy. Oh, and 2. And this is redirected to Desmond. He's going to get an out. off of Pounders, who's showing no reaction at all. Looks like he's fine. 2 outs. Going to second base is Prado.
Two strikes. It gets inside on Rojas. Just hits off the dirt and off the back of Pounders' right leg. Jammed. Didn't really come off the bat too hard.
Lewis Brinson, a double, a walk, and a strikeout. In the 9th inning, the Rockies will have Iannetta, Parra, and Cuevas.
The only enjoyable part of watching the wave at Marlins Park was watching the Clevelander share in the wave. That was funny. Everybody in the Clevelander and basically in left field, they've had to move several teams from that spot because quite distracting.
There's been some nights that there were more people in the Clevelander than actually in the ballpark.
You can see there's a barrier now. Using like as a partition for the relief corps of the Marlins not to be able to look into the Clevelander.
Some distracting things have occurred at the Clevelander, huh?
Tried to darken it out a little bit so players don't notice what's going on.
They actually moved the bullpen too.
They did.
On the ground is short. Story on the backhand across his body. Beautiful throw. That'll end the inning. Work to be done. The Rockies trail by 3 as we go to the 9th in Miami. Coming up after the ball game, it's our Toyota postgame show from right here in Miami. It'll be Jenny Cavnar and Ryan Spilborg. Spilly, did you know that you were part of the postgame show tonight?
I am.
You are. You're going to be a featured component.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it after a Rockies comeback.
It's going to be a happy one. Let's go. Happy postgame show.
The trapper from parts unknown in the Klondike, Kyle Bearclaw, now on the mound. He threw last night. Chris Iannetta is scheduled to lead off, then Gerardo Parra. And we'll see if David Dahl gets a call for Noel Cuevas. He's due up third.
Bearclaw does not have a save on the season. Brad Ziegler has been designated that closer's role with 2 on the season.
Bearclaw threw last night. He threw an inning without giving up a run. He struck out 2, but he also walked 3. See if the Rockies can put a rally together. They've been limited to a run on 4 hits in 8 innings, and the run came on a Charlie Blackmon home run in the 6th leading off.
The Marlins have 2 relievers up in their pen right now. We'll see how they match up throughout the course of this inning.
Iannetta walk, 0 for 2 otherwise. He's a perfect guy to lead off, especially when a guy's got some command issues. In that, we always say Chris works a count as well as anybody in the Rockies dugout. 2-0.
That's an example of a pitch. 2-0 fastball down the middle. You know Chris can handle it, but he's going to put some pressure on the pitcher to throw strikes. You're down 3 runs in the 9th inning. You need base runners.
Three and 1. That's got to be alarming if you're Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, and you're looking out there and you're saying, we have a 3-run lead, pound the zone, and he has not been close on 3 of the 4 pitches.
I think the Marlins are just going to match up throughout the course of this inning.
It is so unusual in a quote-unquote save situation to have a guy starting the inning with 2 guys working in the bullpen. You just don't see that.
Don't see it.
3-2, and he went. 1 out. That'll bring up Parra. One and 0. Correct that. 2 strikes, 0 and 2.
Yeah, both pitches on the outside portion of the Subaru strike zone. One, the first pitch for sure outside of it. Second one, backdoor slider. Effectively wild. That's the best way to describe Bear Claw. Stuff's electric when it's in the strike zone.
Here's the 1-2. And he got him with a changeup. 2 outs.
Fastball outside for strike 1, maybe off the plate. Then a backdoor slider, get to 2 strikes, and pulls a string with a 1-2 changeup down and in.
David Dahl will pinch hit for Noel Cuevas. 2 outs in the 9th inning. Ball 1, Who Wants Tacos? Fans, you can follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts when the Rockies score 7 or more for the Rockies Taco Special in association with Taco Bell.
Oh, my arms are raised for Taco Bell and 7-run tacos.
It's going to have to come with 2 outs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chad Bettis tomorrow for the Rockies against the left-hander Caleb Smith. And then it's off to Chicago. Here's the 2-1. That hit him. So David will jog down to first base, and that'll bring up Valleca.
Slider towards the back foot. Legitimately hit him in the back foot. More like the shin.
Valleca tonight, a double, a fly ball to right, and a ground ball to third. Tony Walters hoping for an opportunity. Valleca takes a strike.
A little bit bigger of a strike zone for Brian Honora this ninth inning. Seen a couple borderline pitches go the Marlins' way. It's been very good throughout the evening.
The Rockies' inability to hit with runners in scoring position, bunch hits, or have productive outs in his first couple of games, and really all year. You know, so far in April, it's been a problem.
And that's what it boils down to, Drew. It's not the hits. The hits will come, but it's the productive outs. If you're not getting those, that's where the frustration really mounts for an offensive unit.
And to get a couple ugly runs.
They're giving them to you. That's the problem, is if you execute properly, you get a bunt down, get a ball in the air, and we know how hard it is. Trust me, I know, I have lived this. It's not easy to get a sacrifice bunt down. It's not easy to get the ball in the air, but it's necessary, and it's when you have to focus harder.
Well, the Rockies had momentum back on their side, 3-1 after the home run by Blackman. Desmond with nobody out in the sixth doubled. With one out, Story singled. First and third, one out. That's outside. Ionetta struck out. That's where, you know, you get the ball in play, obviously, other than a double play. And the Rockies, in all likelihood, get a run there. 2 outs, Parra could not come through. He flew out. There were a few instances last night. Pat Valleca in the third inning led off with a double. Didn't get a bunt down by Marquez. 3-2. Charlie grounded out. Desmond grounded out. Three and 2. Valleca trying to keep it alive for Walters. With Dahl at first, he'll be off with the pitch. And that's the ball game. The Rockies fall 4-1, and their 3-game winning streak dies here tonight in a place that has always given the Rockies issues, the city of Miami or Fort Lauderdale. The Rockies now 4-13 their last 17 ball games here in South Florida. 1 run was good enough last night. It was not good enough tonight as Miami prevails 4-1. Wei Yin Chen in his first start of the year gets the victory, and German Marquez takes the loss. He drops to 1-3 on the season. Bear Claw ends up with the save. Once again, the final score: Miami 4, the Rockies 1. Come on back. The Twitter postgame show from here in Miami is next.